Hello, Facebook world. I think Facebook is, and we are live. All right. Hi, Facebook world. Hi, Instagram world. Welcome to, hi. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for hopping on. Today I am covering day 9 of 21 Days to Magic. Hey, Kyle. So yesterday I covered a little bit about manifestation and vibrating at a higher frequency, and then my little one came out and crashed the party, so I told you guys that I would pick up a little bit where I left off. So today I'm going to talk about being a state instead of wanting to be in a state. So something that so many of us have this misconception on is that wealth is a want, when actually wealth is a state of being. So a perfect example of this, or a perfect quote that I've heard, I actually been reading the Happy Pocket Full of Money. It's an incredible book, and I've quoted a few things from it throughout this series, but wealth is an internal state. Okay, so money is just a physical representation of the beliefs that we hold, and that's just something with the work that I do and the things that I teach, that so many of my clients come to understand, because money, hi Taryn, thanks for tuning in, money is simply a physical representation of a thing, right? So if we didn't trade money, we would trade goats. If we didn't trade goats, we would trade plants. It's literally just a physical representation of a thing. So when I say being wealthy is an internal state, we have the ability to identify as someone who's wealthy or identify as someone who's broke. And so often people choose to show up and identify as someone who's broke because of the conditions that we've been told we have to, live into, that, what we see in society. We see so many people struggling. We see so many people with a victim story or living into that we feel like that everything has to be hard. So we create our reality. We create whether we are wealthy, we create whether we have abundance, or we create whether we're broke. And I know that to people that are struggling financially, I have been there. I've been there. I have been at rock bottom. I have been someone who has struggled to even pay my bills on time. I've lived below paycheck to paycheck. I've been drowning in debt. So I understand that sometimes when we hear things like that, like you get to choose if you want to make a lot of money or you get to choose if you're broke, that triggers a lot of people. But my job as a mentor is to trigger people. Because if I keep telling you the same shit that you've always heard, keeping you comfortable, and people think that, well, why would I want to be uncomfortable? Well, you have to make a decision. Do you want to stay comfortable living uncomfortable for the rest of your life? Or do you want someone that's going to tell you like it is, trigger you, so you have to live uncomfortable for a little while, so that the rest of your existence you get to live more than comfortable? I choose the second. I chose to be uncomfortable for a little while, chose to be triggered by a lot of shit. I hired a mentor. I've done a lot of things that I've invested a lot of money into, where I hear things where I'm like, ugh, like that, that makes me uncomfortable. Well, guess what? Every time I have those shifts, I grow into a better mentor, into a better coach, into a better mom, into a better person, which has allowed me to share more value with more people and grow into an entrepreneur that can increase her income, so I live more than comfortable now, right? Where for years I lived in this existence that was really uncomfortable, living below paycheck to paycheck, but my subconscious just believed that I was always destined to struggle, okay? So being wealthy is a internal state. And the money that you get to make, abundance, is simply a physical manifestation of the state that you're in. Okay, so that, there's people that are broke, there's people that are middle class, there's people that are above middle class, and there's people that are abundant as fuck, right? It's their state of being. Think about it. You can only be a state. You just can't do a state, right? So you can be happy, but you can't do happy, right? So you can be abundant, but you can't do abundant, right? So you have to become what it is that you're seeking. So a really good, parallel to try and, hi Michelle, thank you so much for tuning in. Hey Kayla, I see some of you guys tuning in. Hey Ryan, hey Courtney, hey Angie. Give me some hearts, guys. I hope you guys are having a beautiful hump day. So I guess a good parallel for this is problem and solution. okay? When a problem is born, when a problem is brought to light, right? A solution is born at the exact moment in time. So whenever a problem is created in your existence, there is a solution that is born at the exact same time. The issue is that problem is existing over here on this frequency, on this plane, and solution is over here on this frequency, on this plane. And so what so many people tend to do is they just continue to focus on the problem, right? So this is what a lot of people that are broke, a lot of people that are struggling, they focus on the problem. And guys, I know this is going to trigger a lot of you, but that's what this video is meant to do, okay? So people that are broke continue to focus on, I can't pay my bills on time, I'm drowning in debt, I'm overdrawing my account, I don't make enough money, why am I not successful in my business, what am I doing wrong, why is she successful and I'm not, right? They're existing over here on problem, okay? They're vibing at this frequency and they're choosing to live there. You will never seek the solution if you're vibrating over here. If you're vibrating down here, you're never going to find the solution. That's why once we release focusing on the problem and we just give ourselves time to evaluate what actually feels good to us, and we focus, hey Crystal, and we focus on growing into the leader, growing into the person, growing into whatever it is that you're seeking in your life, growing into that person, all of a sudden we start to elevate. And now we're growing to exist on the problem of solution, right? Because now problem's down here. We're no longer focused on the problem. We're focused on creating a better life. And so what happens is we start to elevate our vibration. We start to raise the birds like what I'm saying. We're starting to raise our frequency. And now all of a sudden we're operating at the same frequency as solution, okay? That's why a lot of successful people, so many people will say, oh, well, she's just lucky, or, oh, it must be nice, you don't have the problems that I have. No, what happens is some people choose to rise above. Some people choose to grow into a person who's able and capable of handling those problems, so those problems don't seem as scary anymore. They don't seem as terrifying anymore. Something I went through before becoming a single mom was, I'm a part of a network marketing company, okay? Now this is not the purpose of this video, but it's a great story to share. The way that our business is structured is I worked my ass off to build my daughter's father's account to be 1/3 of my income. A big problem that I was facing was, before I decided to leave, was if I leave this relationship, I'm going to lose 1/3 of my income. How am I going to do that as a single mom? Instead of choosing to focus on the problem and stay there, I chose on what are other ways that I can grow my business? What are other ways I can grow as an individual? What are other strengths that I could work on as a mom? How can I share my story and get it heard by more people so I can inspire more people to have a bigger impact in the world? How can I do that? And then all of a sudden, I grew into this person who didn't really give a shit about losing that 1/3 of an income. And that's not coming from a place of disrespecting my money, because everyone knows, like, you and money have to be like best friends. You have to have like a BFF relationship with your money. But it came from a place of, I was choosing to no longer have any sort of negative attachments to my money. And if I could choose to like live in this constricted world over here where I was so hyper-focused on, God forbid I lose 1/3 of my income, to the leader over here where it's like, there are multimillionaires who have lost millions and come back. Am I really going to be afraid of losing a few $1,000s here and there? Absolutely not. What's going to grow me into the leader that I need to become? Going through some shit. And so all of a sudden, that level 5 problem seemed not so big because I grew into a level 7 person. So the problem when I was a level 3 person, that problem, that losing that 1/3 of my income, seemed like a pretty big problem because I was a level 3 person, right? But then I grew into a level 7 person who all of a sudden was like, fuck this, I got this. I might have a little bit of a setback, but guess what? There are millionaires who have lost more and grown more from it. I'm going to be that person. I want to go to that lifestyle. That's where I want to go. I want to follow in those footsteps. I'm not here to play small. I'm here to play fucking huge, right? And so every now and again, I don't like to use the word sacrifice because I don't like to also put out into the universe that you have to struggle to see success, because again, that's just an inherent belief that we create for ourselves. It's not actually universally true. God didn't write on a chalkboard in the sky somewhere that you specifically were destined to struggle in order to see success. That's just a condition that we place on ourselves, right? So hi, thank you. You can just leave it right there. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. My Shakeology just got delivered. Perfect timing. So where was I? Problem and solution. Okay, so just covered how problem and solution, they're born at the same time, but we elevate into the person that's capable of seeing and identifying the solution and no longer just existing at the problem, right? So what did we do? We just became what we were seeking, right? So if we're trying to figure out how to build a 6-figure business, right? And you're down here maybe making $30,000 a year, right? You're existing at the problem. You're existing at $30,000 a year, right? Like that's, if we're just gonna use that as an example, all right? But you have to become what you're seeking. You have to become the manifestation. So you're down here at problem. Solution is, I wanna become a 6-figure earner. All right, how do we grow into that person? How do we become the manifestation for that? You just have to elevate into the person that's operating on that same frequency, okay? And so how I'm tying this into what I talked about yesterday was I talked about bringing in bits of your future into the now, right? Like I used my Jeep as an example. My dream car is a white Range Rover. I traded in my black Jeep Compass when it was time to trade in my vehicle for a white Jeep Cherokee, because every time I look at that white Jeep Cherokee, I think of my white Range Rover, right? So that's a way that I was bringing in that future frequency into the now, right? And so every time I get into my Jeep, it elevates my frequency and I start living into the vibration of what it's going to feel like to drive my dream Range Rover, right? So I'm living into the energetic space of becoming the manifestation, becoming the person that's driving the Range Rover, right? And so a lot of people that don't do this work, to cover this on day 9, probably a lot of you guys are like, okay, she's batshit crazy. But I encourage you to go back to the beginning of this, if this is the first video you're catching, and watch those, because it's going to make so much more sense leading into right now. Because we have this really skewed perception of reality. We have this really small vision, right? All we can see, we have tunnel vision, right? All we see is what's right in front of us. We see linear, right? So many of us, we're only focused on that thing. But the universe, God, he has a bird's eye view. So many of us are going through all of these things and we're seeing all these problems, but God already knows that there's a solution. The universe already knows that there's a solution. It was born at the same time, right? And God doesn't give anything to anyone that they can't handle, right? Everything is always happening for us, not to us, okay? So problem and solution, they're born at the same time. We have to become the solution. We have to become the person that operates on the same frequency as solution. They're born at the same time. Problem and solution both exist at the same time. So another really good example for this is rags to riches stories, right? So now I did touch on a little bit ago that, we don't have to manifest obstacles in order to be successful. A lot of entrepreneurs actually do this because we feel like in order to prove that our product works, that we have to overcome something, right? But what if, as entrepreneurs, we were just successful because our subconscious allows us just to be successful, because we believe that we're worthy of success no matter what? But what so many of us do as entrepreneurs or individuals is we actually create obstacles for ourselves subconsciously. I know it seems ridiculous, okay? Like anyone in their right mind would be like, well, why would I create a problem for myself? Why would I want to manifest these situations for my life? But we have this perception based on the world around us from years of conditioning, from even years before us, but from our early childhood on, okay, that in order to be successful, we have to struggle. And so many entrepreneurs will see success, and then all of a sudden they're like, my business is going too easy. I'm seeing too much success too quickly. Now I have to create a problem because I can't let everyone think that this is just easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, we're consciously not thinking that. But at the back of our mind is like, we need to make a problem. We need to create a problem because we have to overcome the problem. And I did this for so long in my business. And guys, these aren't things that we just grow out of right away. I still experience some of these things in my business, right? I still experience things like I can't wait for the day to exist where I no longer manifest haters, right? Like there's some, don't get me wrong, there is some benefit, like everything's always happening for us, right? Not just to us, right? Like I'll tell you what, every time I have like trolls coming at my page, like, it sucks while it's happening, but I level the fuck up every time. And I'm always like, thank you haters, because they give me, you know, more things to talk about. They open my eyes to different things. There's some level of growth internally that happens. And there's also a level of growth in my business every single time. And I'm always like, ooh, karma serves a freaking hot salad, right? Right? Because people that seek to usually cause you harm, you can always reverse it and flip the script. It's like Missy Elliott, whatever that song is. But I don't want to have to manifest those things to see success, right? And no entrepreneur in the world would consciously want to manifest problems to see success, but we're so conditioned to do it because that's what we think we have to do. Because we're entrepreneurs, we have to solve a problem. Well, the best way to solve a problem is for other people to see us solve that problem, right? So then we manifest problems to overcome, so that we can prove to the people that we want to inspire that you can overcome these problems by doing these things. But it's all a subconscious blueprint. So we see these rags to riches stories, right? And we wonder, how do we see all these people that go from broke, like dirt broke, to like all of a sudden being multimillionaires, multi-billionaires? Well, it's because what happens when you take everything away? They're already with nothing, right? Their mind is already, it's already been stripped clean. They're already like, okay, I'm at nothing. This is nothingness. What's the worst case scenario? Well, if it can't get worse, then we can only go up from here. So then all of a sudden it's like the switch goes off in their mind, and it's like, well, I can't get any worse, so the only thing that I can do is get better, right? Because as humans, we tend to do one of two things. We tend to follow exactly in our parents' blueprints or footsteps, or we tend to do the exact opposite, okay? So that's why there's so many people whose parents have been multimillionaires. I don't like really this term, but like trust fund babies that like literally will like do the complete opposite of their family, right? Because they have some sort of subconscious blueprint that, you know, maybe their parents fought all the time. So their parents were loaded, but they saw their parents fight all the time, so they had this conception that money is bad, right? We have lots of money, but my parents fight all the time, therefore money is bad. So they grow up to do the complete opposite. They're like the rebels, right? Or we see so many people that do exactly what their parents do, right? So it's like, you know, their parents are middle class, for example, and the kids grow up to also be middle class, right? It's because that's our subconscious blueprint. Our entire life, we've seen our parents do these things, earn this income, struggle with these things, overcome these things, and we're subconsciously programmed to kind of fall in the same footprints, right? Fall in the same footsteps. So that's why there's kind of like the two, like it's either you follow exactly into what your parents are doing or you go the exact opposite. Now, again, that's not a written rule that's like written on a chalkboard in the sky somewhere that says just because your parents are middle class doesn't mean that you can't be a millionaire, or just because your parents are millionaires doesn't mean that you're going to be piss broke, right? It's just a story that we tell ourselves, and it's just a story that we live into. So when we see these rags to riches stories, what happens is these people, they've now stripped away everything, and they're like, well, I have nothing else to lose, so the only thing else that I can do is go up from here, right? Whereas people that are middle class, they think they have to struggle, so they struggle, do the same things over and over and over again, and they still have shit to lose. So they're focused more so on playing defense than they are on playing offense, right? So they're still focused on not creating any more problems for themselves, so they're playing defense because they don't want to be piss broke, right? So they stay in this uncomfortable but comfortable state of living or state of existence, and they're literally, like, it's called duality. So like they consciously want to go up, they consciously want to up level, they want to make more for themselves, but subconsciously they're playing defense because they don't want to be broke, so there's conflict. It's called duality. So that's why you see these rags to riches stories. It's because those people that have been, you know, dirt broke, they have nothing else to lose, so the only way to go is up, okay? So, and then just to wrap this up, we don't just want the manifestation, we become the manifestation, right? So I talked about this a little bit earlier in this video is, you know, problem and solution are more at the same time. Problem is down here, solution is up here. The longer that we choose to exist at problem, the longer we're going to stay here. We have to elevate into the leader who's capable of seeing the solution, right? Just like we grow into the leader who's capable of handling different obstacles, different struggles, right? That's why so many people will say, oh, she's lucky, she doesn't have those problems that I have. No, she's just grown into a person who is a level 7 person, and that's a level 5 problem. But most people choose to live down here at problem, and they see that problem, and they're a level 3 person. That level 5 problem is a big fucking problem, right? And we've all been there. We've all experienced that. So I'm going to leave you guys with a story and a tip. And I'm actually going to tell the story of this romper, okay? And this is a simple little mindset trick that you can do to help elevate your money mindset, okay? And it's super, super simple, but expense is all relative. So just like being wealthy is an internal state, expense is all relative, right? $1,000 to one person might be astronomical, right? But $1,000 to a multimillionaire, it's nothing. So expense is all relative. So whenever we're talking about spending money, instead of saying that's too expensive for me, I want you to flip the script, and I want you to change the verbiage, and I want you to say, I simply don't see the value in that. And here's what you're doing, is you're bringing the control back to you. You are triggering your subconscious to identify that you know your worth and that you are in control of your money and where you spend it. Instead of saying that's too expensive to me and giving the money or an outside force all the power, you're now bringing the power back to you and saying, I simply just don't see the value in that. I'm going to tell you the story about this romper. So last year, I went shopping at Old Navy because I was getting ready to actually come to Florida, which is where I am now. And I went to Old Navy with my sister, and we were shopping, and I saw this romper, and I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And it was on the $19.99 sales rack. I tried it on. It fit perfectly. I was like, I'm living my best life. It's a $20 romper. It has fucking pockets. Like, YOLO, right? I was celebrating. Bought a few of, picked up a couple other things. I get up to the counter, and I see my romper is like $42. Now, Jesslyn saw the value in this romper at $19.99. She did not see the value in this romper at $42. It's pretty simple. I think you guys can understand maybe why I wouldn't want to spend $42 on it, right? So I was like, you know what? And I said politely to the person, I said, you know what? I just don't see the value in spending $42 on this romper. I'm going to set that aside, but I'm going to get everything else. Okay, perfect. Not a problem. Leave Old Navy. And I literally was like, I was like a little bummed because the romper was cute. And I was like, well, maybe I'll look on Amazon and find something similar, blah, blah, blah. Well, 2 weeks later, I'm in Florida. Now, it's my best friend's birthday coming up, and I'm supposed to go pick her up from the airport. Now, my mom lives in a really small town in Florida. Sorry, I tell great stories, guys. I know it's really long and convoluted, but there's a point, I promise. So my mom lives in a smaller town in Florida, and where my best friend was flying into was in a bigger city. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just leave earlier to go to the airport, and I'm going to go to the mall in the bigger city. So, because I thought, I also had a gift card, and I was like, I'm going to use this gift card for, it was for Lululemon, Athleta, one of those. And I was like, because I know that she loves Lululemon, so I'll use the gift card and I'll pick her up some extra things. And I was all excited. Well, I get to this shopping mall, and none of the stores are open. They were like remodeling some of the things, and there's no Lululemon, no Athleta. But I know that Athleta is a part of Gap, and the Gap is a part of Old Navy, and there's an Old Navy. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot, and I'm just going to see if they'll take this gift card here. Sure as shit, they took the gift card, right? So now I'm walking around, and I'm picking out stuff for my best friend's birthday, and then I'm like, I'm going to pick up a couple things for me, and I see this romper. Lo and behold, it was $19.99. It was $19.99. And so then I thought to myself, that's bizarre. Like, is this on the right rack? Because last time it was on the wrong rack. Go to checkout. I was able to use my gift card, and I got my romper for $19.99. Here's how that worked. I literally manifested this because, number one, I saw the value where I spent my money. When we spend our money and we don't see the value in what we're spending our money on, we are telling our money that we don't respect it. So there's things called money leaks. So if you are someone that has all these subscriptions, and there's like $5.99 coming out here, $9.99 coming out there, and you're just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but you're not using that subscription, that's called a money leak. And what you're telling your money is that you don't respect it enough to take care of it. Okay, money is just energy. Would you say that to your friend? I don't respect you enough not to take care of you. No. Friendship is energy. Money is energy. So you're telling your money that you're not respecting where it goes. Same thing if we walk up to the counter and we're too embarrassed, or we're too like oh, well, I don't want them to think I'm cheap if I don't spend the $42 on the romper. No, if you don't see the value in it, you don't buy it. So many people do this with their friends who do like, you know, sell different things. What I always tell my friends is, I would love to support you. I'm just really not interested in that product or that service, but I would love to support you some other way. How can I do that? But there's also a ton of friends that sell a lot of things that I'm really into, and they get my money as well, right? But what I used to do for so long was I felt obligated to invest. I felt obligated to support them because I felt like I was being a shitty friend if I wasn't. Well, it's no wonder that I was broke, because I was spending my money on all these things that didn't serve me or my highest good, and that whenever I spent the money, I felt janky spending the money, right? Like I wasn't excited about where my money went. So then, of course, money was just kind of like slipping through my fingers, right? So number one, what happened is I had respect from where my money went, right? And number two, I detached from the outcome. Instead of being so hyper-focused on, how am I going to find a romper that looks just like that one? How am I going to get a romper that's $20? I literally was like, you know what? It would be cool if I could find one just like it, but if not, it wasn't meant for me, right? And then lo and behold, I literally walk into a mall that I've never gone to before on the way to the airport to pick up my best friend with a gift card that I shouldn't even have been able to use, and there's the exact same romper that I wanted for the price that it was originally priced at as a mistake for that price. I manifested this romper for $19.99. And a lot of people think that manifestation is just throwing a wish out into the sky. No, you have to take some sort of action, right? We have to ask the right questions. We have to take the practical action. We have to, it's like, you know, a magnet, right? If you have a magnet in your hand and there's a magnet in the other room, right? They're like fridge magnets, okay? You know that when you get close enough together, they're going to come together. But you can't just sit your ass on the bed in one room and expect the magnet in another room to just come through the wall and come together. No, you have to take some sort of action. You have to walk to that magnet and get close enough to where the other end of that magnet comes to meet you, right? That's how frequency works. That's how energy works. So when you want to raise your money mindset, you have to first shift the focus back to you. And the number one tip that I tell all of my clients when it comes to spending your money, if you don't see the value in it, instead of saying it's too expensive, you simply say, I don't see the value in that, okay? And that is day 9. Being wealthy is being wealthy is an internal state. Money is just a physical manifestation of the beliefs that you hold, okay? Being wealthy is an internal state. Shift the belief, take the power back to you, always respect your money, and when you don't like where your money's going, you simply say, I don't see the value in that, okay? And that's the story of my 1999 romper and day 9 wrapping up. So thank you guys for tuning in. I see a lot of people popping in. I see some flowers and hearts and good things. All right. And then I see, hi, Michelle. Hi, Crystal over here on Facebook. So today was a little bit of a longer video. I knew that it would be, but there was a lot of good shit in here. So go back. This will be uploaded to my IGTV. Watch the replay. And I will be sending out the email with the journal prompts for yesterday and today in about 45 minutes. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Otherwise, you guys are the real OGs. Love you. Have an amazing rest of your hump day.